What's up guys, it's David here, back with another video. Now in this video guys, we will be talking about Julio Jones, the Falcons wide receiver. Now there has been, of course, a debate going around the NFL of who is truly the best NFL wide receiver of all, well, currently going right now. And the debate, I honestly believe it's between three people. The three people that the debate is between is Julio Jones, Michael Thomas, and DeAndre Hopkins. Devontae Adams could be up there, but no. It's between these three for me because these three are out and out the best wide receivers in the NFL right now. And yes, they all have good quarterbacks. DeAndre Hopkins recently, 2018, had Deshaun Watson come into the NFL. So you can honestly really say that Michael Thomas and Julio Jones has been in the NFL for the longest time. Julio Jones has been in the NFL since 2011. So you really gotta say Julio Jones has some more stats to back it up. But all these guys are good in different category. Julio Jones is really in my opinion, the best when it comes to I don't know, deep balls and his ability to catch the ball with one hand or anything like that. Just deep balls in general. Michael Thomas is the best route runner in my honest opinion. He gets a lot of catches, and I'm pretty sure he had the most receptions last year in the NFL. And then DeAndre Hopkins, in my honest opinion, has the best hands in the NFL. There was a point in the season where he did not drop one single reception. He did not drop one single reception, and I'm pretty sure that was 2018. Hearing that, you would probably say he's probably the best NFL wide receiver. But no, we're going to go into the stats real quick of each guy, talk about their past 3 seasons, and then I'll give an honest opinion, not biased opinion obviously because I'm a Falcon, but I'll honestly give an opinion about who is the best NFL wide receiver. So now let's talk about Mr. Julio Jones. Julio Jones, in the past 3 seasons, it's been a rough ride for Julio Jones because of course this past year we had a bad offensive line, but Julio Jones was still a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. So when it came to Julio Jones' 2019 yards, he had 1,394 yards. He had 6 touchdowns. He had 99 receptions. Pretty decent year for Julio Jones. 2018, however, he had 1,677 yards. He had 8 touchdowns. He had 113 receptions. And in 2017, he had 1,444 yards, 3 touchdowns. Let's not talk about that. 3 touchdowns, 88 receptions. That 2017 season, I know for sure, Julio Jones was dealing with injury. So I'm not even going to put that 3 touchdowns on him. I'm going to put that down to mostly because all these guys could get injured during the season, so it could affect them during the season. But those are Julio Jones' past 3 seasons. Now let's go into the Saints' Michael Thomas. The Saints' Michael Thomas 2019 season was 1,725 yards, 9 touchdowns, 149 receptions. Pretty good. Pretty good. Better than Julio Jones this past season. Obviously, Michael Thomas was probably the best NFL wide receiver this past season, considering he had 400 more yards than Julio Jones. He had a lot more receptions than Julio Jones, and he had 3 more touchdowns. So, Michael Thomas had a better 2019 than Julio Jones. 2018, Mike Thomas had 1,405 yards, 9 touchdowns, 125 receptions. So when it comes to the reception part of the 2018 season, Michael Thomas was actually better than Julio Jones. But in terms of yards, Julio Jones had 232 yards more, 272 yards more than Michael Thomas in that season. He had 1 less touchdown, and Michael Thomas did beat on reception. So you can say that season was really, really even when it comes to both of them. But this next season, it hurts me to say this, but Julio Jones did have him again in the yards. Julio Jones is probably the best when it comes to gaining yards. Michael Thomas is the most when it comes to receptions. So we'll see what happens when it comes to that. But 2017, Michael Thomas had 1,245 yards. He had 5 touchdowns, 104 receptions. So in the past 3 seasons, Michael Thomas has always had over 100 receptions. Julio in the past 3 seasons only had one year where he was over 100 receptions. So that just tells you Michael Thomas is the better when it comes to receptions, and Julio Jones is when it comes to better yards because Julio had 2 years better than Michael Thomas in yards, and Michael Thomas had 3 years better than Julio Jones in terms of receptions. And now finally we get on to DeAndre Hopkins, and we're gonna be pairing these 2 guys. up against Julio Jones, because that's who I'm saying is the best wide receiver before this video. But let's check out the stats of DeAndre Hopkins real quick. DeAndre Hopkins had 2019, 1,165 yards. He had 7 touchdowns and he had 104 receptions. 2018, he had 1,572 yards, 11 touchdowns, 115 receptions. 2017, he had 1,378, 13 touchdowns, 96 receptions. So let's go back and debate this between Julio Jones and DeAndre Hopkins for a quick minute. 2019, Julio Jones had the better season. Julio Jones had 1,394 yards, and DeAndre Hopkins had 1,165 yards. So Julio Jones was better in terms of yards. DeAndre Hopkins was one better in terms of touchdowns over Julio Jones. And then in receptions, he was actually only 5 better than Julio Jones. So it was kind of a mixed season. Julio had the better yards, but DeAndre Hopkins had the better receptions and better touchdowns, better number of touchdowns. 2018, however, 1,572 yards, 11 touchdowns, 115 receptions. So again, Julio Jones gets him in the yards. DeAndre Hopkins gets him in the touchdowns and gets him in the receptions by only 2. Julio Jones in 2018 had 113 receptions. DeAndre Hopkins had 115 receptions in 2018. And now finally in 2017, we had 1,378 yards for DeAndre Hopkins and 1,444 yards for Julio Jones. So again, Julio Jones has bettered him in each of the past 3 seasons when it comes to receiving yards. But again, it's the touchdowns and receptions where Julio is not that very good in terms of these other 2 quarterbacks. Other 2 wide receivers, quarterbacks. Because in 2017, DeAndre Hopkins had 13 touchdowns. Julio Jones had 3. So 10 better touchdowns in 2017. And he had 96 receptions. He had 8 better than Julio Jones in 2017. So reading back all these stats and comparing the 3, that is Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, and Michael Thomas, you would probably say that my estimation about who is the really best wide receiver in the NFL currently right now, it can't be Julio Jones after I just read out those stats. But I gotta say, after seeing because if you look at both all the 3 wide receivers, they're kind of all based in similar teams. They're built to win. Their quarterbacks their quarterback's number 1 target. DeAndre Hopkins is now going to be Kyler Murray's probably number 1 target over Larry Fitzgerald, even though Larry Fitzgerald is a legend. But I would probably say that's going to be happening. Michael Thomas is still going to be the number 1 target for Drew Brees at the Saints. And Matt Ryan's obviously going to be number 1 target is going to be Julio Jones. So they're always going to get these numbers. So when it comes to overall stats and overall how they play in every single game, it's a really tough decision, because this is a really tough debate. But when it comes to the greatest wide receiver in the NFL right now, I gotta put the stats in, and I gotta put it. I hate to say it. I'm a Falcons fan, but I'm gonna say the best wide receiver in the NFL right now is Michael Thomas. Listening off those stats and hearing that Michael Thomas was almost better than Julio Jones in every single year when it comes to, Julio Jones had him on the yards. That was the only thing Julio Jones had on both of those wide receivers was yards. They both had him on touchdowns, and they both had him on receptions. Considering Michael Thomas had the better receptions than DeAndre Hopkins, I gotta give it to Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas, in my opinion, is the best wide receiver in the NFL currently going. But anyway, guys, thank you guys for watching this video. Please do smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe for more sports content like this. But anyway, guys, I will see you guys all later. Peace.